Hello friends, welcome back. Hopefully this video is getting to you on Friday and not Saturday at the last minute, only approaching the last minute. Gonna be a little bit of a short intro. If I seem low energy or a little bit fried, or if I look fucking fried, it's because I kind of am. I went crazy last night, mans went deep, but enough of that, I digress. The UFC 316 is upon us. Merab Dvalishvili defending his title against the man he took it off, Sugar Sean O'Malley, in their rematch. I think the card's going to be pretty fire. We've got some decent fights in here. The odds are so fucking chopped for this fight across the card. It's not even funny. Some of them are really smoked. We're going to talk about some of them. But starting off with the early prelim opener. And actually, before I say this too, tune in tomorrow, Saturday, during the fights, before the early prelims, the Smoky Hours Fight Companion, the UFC Smoky Hours Fight Companion will be on. It's always on. Every Saturday. Whenever there's fights, it's Smoky Hours. But yes, come to the channel, peep the live stream section. I'll probably have the live stream up. You know, a waiting room type deal. You know the vibes. Hopefully I see you there. Don't be a stranger. Moving on. Jesus Christ. It's been fucking, like, for the past month in New York, it's been 60 degrees, 62, 63 highest, and now all of a sudden it's 89, 90, like, every day. Shit's going crazy. New York weather. First fight of the night, I digress. MarQuel Mederos versus Choinski, and I hope I'm saying that right, Choinski. But I'm going MarQuel Mederos. I don't think this is as simple as a pick that it may come across as on paper. Choinski. I'm just going to say Mark from now on because the last name is giving me a little bit of trouble. Seems to be a pretty decent grappler, making his way on the regional scene. Man is undefeated at 8-0. He is taking this fight on short notice. He's been winning some fights in, like I just said, in Anthony Pettis FC, actually. Man's going to be a little bit smaller than MarQuel Mederos. I am going to go with MarQuel Mederos, but it's mainly because MarQuel Mederos already has a little bit of UFC experience. He was expecting this fight. Not against Mark, but he was slated to fight. He was training to fight. He was actually supposed to fight Bolaji Oki, if I remember correctly, like last week or 2 weeks ago, something like that. I think he should win this fight. I think it's a favorable matchup for him. I do think that Mark maybe gives him some trouble. Maybe Mark even fucking is able to keep him down and hold down MarQuel Mederos the whole fight, and he's able to upset people crazy in his debut. Who knows? I think MarQuel Mederos will maybe not get a finish with the hands, but should, through the grace of his athleticism, be able to dictate the pace of this fight. Moving on. MarQuel Mederos by decision, first pick. Moving on. Quillan Salkilld versus Yanal Ashmouz. Now, Salkilld is coming in here with crazy fucking hype that I really want people to reconsider if he's actually earned or not. Did have some okay wins. Has a decent win against fucking Ansel Jubli. The only problem, it's Ansel Jubli. He smoked Ansel Jubli, don't get me wrong. Really the criticism that comes with that is he's untested. We actually don't know. A win over Ansel Jubli doesn't tell us that much in the grand scheme of things. He is going to have a bit of a size advantage over Yanal Ashmouz, the Red Fox, but I also think Yanal Ashmouz, that he's one of those guys it's not tailored for him, but Yanal Ashmouz is no stranger to fighting bigger dudes, i.e. Sam Patterson. Man smoked Sam Patterson, and now Sam Patterson is actually smoking people bad. Some people are trying to actually discredit that win, like that was a different Sam Patterson, that win means nothing. I don't know how people are hyping up. This is like the problem with that logic. I don't understand how a win over Ansel Jubli can be hyped for Salkilld and give him so much fucking hype. But Yanal doesn't get that same treatment. It doesn't make sense to me, really, but we'll see. There is going to be a massive difference in size between these two fighters. with Quillan getting the advantage in that regard. He's going to be taller and longer. But like I said, Yanal is used to fighting taller and longer dudes. I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. Salkilld also, I don't think he's actually going to be a better striker than Yanal Ashmouz. Maybe a better grappler on the actual ground, better jiu-jitsu. I'm actually going to go with Yanal Ashmouz to win. Probably get a finish too, but I'm going to pick Yanal. Yanal Ashmouz. Now, moving on. Jeka Yoo versus Jeka Saragih. Jeka Saragih, you might remember him, wears a crazy Indonesian hat when he comes in. Has some spooky knockout power. Man got smoked in an upset by Weston Wilson. Big shout out Weston Wilson. I believe it was Weston Wilson. Who also got his first, I don't know if it was his first win in the UFC, but at least first finish in the UFC by submitting Jeka Saragih. Pretty quick. That was an El Clasico matchup. I know I'm talking mainly about an older fight that Jeka has had, but Weston Wilson, known for being a grappler. Jeka Saragih is known for being a striker. Mans went at it. I think Weston actually did get dropped in the first round, but then he turned it around once he got a hold of Jeka and tapped him out. I say all that to say this. I'm going to go with Jeka Yoo. I'll probably say, I don't know if by decision. I'm going to say by decision, actually, but the reason why is because I don't think that Jeka Saragih is like, has knockout power on the level of a UFC fighter, even though I think that's actually kind of a dumb thing to say. Because, like, the discrepancies between... Anyways, I digress. But I want to say I don't think that Jeka Saragih is really, like, a straight-up UFC caliber fighter in the sense that he's well-rounded enough to be a UFC caliber fighter. Man's ground game doesn't just leave a lot to be desired. It's actually, it makes him a liability. It legit holds back Jeka Saragih. Jeka Yoo on the other side, not too familiar with his game. Think man's Korean, 8-0, making his UFC debut, 31 years old. That's not bad. Really, he's just an unknown. I am going to go with the unknown here, just because if the unknown has okay striking, but can wrestle, he's probably going to beat Jeka Saragih by decision, at least. Unless Jeka one-shots him. That's a possibility, too. But I do think Jeka Yoo will take it. Jeka Saragih, I think, just has an incomplete game for the UFC. Moving on. Ariane Lipski de Silva, a.k.a. the Queen of Violence, versus Cong Wang. I believe it's actually properly pronounced Wang Song. Wang Song. But I like saying Cong Wang. But Wang Song, I gotta apologize already for butchering people's names. Before I even, it's funny, right? Before I started making pick videos online, in my real life, ever since I was a young boy, actually, I took pride in my ability to put faces to names. Like, I was really good with names. I'm good with faces. I can remember people's names. I'm good at pronouncing people's names, even more exotic or harder to pronounce names, I should have said, really. But names that stray further from the English language, or even Western language in particular. But I digress. Now, doing fights, I'm fucking up shit like, not even, Cong Wang is a little bit different because like, a lot of Chinese fighters have like, they don't have it, but the way that their names are written and even ordered like changes so fucking often. It can change from like website to website, promotion to promotion, who knows. And then it's also usually changed when the UFC actually, they determine what name they're going to use for the fighter on the little graphic. That's changed. If you, I really noticed this watching fucking Weili Zhang, because I've seen Weili Zhang fight as Weili and Zhang. It's wild. And they refer to her as both. Zhang Weili, Weili Zhang. I'm not too certain. I'm not a linguist. That's all out of my wheelhouse. I say all that to say this. Ariane Lipski de Silva, on paper, low-key, if Ariane Lipski de Silva wasn't getting finished and losing fights in the way that she loses fights, I would be picking her against Wang Song. But she does, right? She does. Wang Song has momentum. She wants it. She seems hungry, you know. I do think that there's a lot of hype that isn't going... that's still going to be kind of like beaten out, essentially, of Wang Sang when she gets the right one of Cong Wang. Wang. Now I can't even say her name. Jesus Christ. I am also still a little bit fried. I'm also concerned with if the fight goes to the ground. It already goes to the ground. Ariane Lipski to Silva, her wrestling and takedowns and takedown defense isn't the best particularly, but her jiu-jitsu actually is a little bit more sneaky and a little bit more... She can work that in and get some more submissions in a deceptive fashion, actually. That's what does concern me. And the experience that Ariane Lipski has, combined with her resume. She's fought way better fighters than Wang Song throughout her whole career. Even if you look back on Wang Song's biggest win in her debut against, I believe it was Victoria Leonardo. Victoria Leonardo was there she was brought in just for that to happen to her. There was no other reason for her to be there. Ariane Lipski de Silva might get knocked out in similar fashion, but she is still dangerous. She is still fucking dangerous, though. That's the thing. Still go with Wang Song. I might recap the picks and method of victory, round and method of victory picks all the way at the end. So, moving on. Khaos Williams versus Andreas Gustafsson. So many people are hyped on Andreas Gustafsson. Why? I don't know. The dude fights like he's a fucking bar bouncer. He's like a bouncer. I'm honestly not impressed. And not only am I not impressed, I think this is actually a great matchup in favor of Khaos Williams. A dude who's roughly the same size, but Khaos has a little bit of a longer reach. And I think Gustafsson is going to try to come at Khaos and just get laid out plainly. I've heard some spooky shit that Andreas Gustafsson also might be like a racist or a Nazi, and I hate saying that, but I would like people to know. It's not me saying that, actually. That's just what I've heard. If you know what I'm talking about, I think that has something to do with his tattoos. Maybe dude has some, spooky tats or whatever the fuck. Leave a comment down below. I'd love to read about it. I'm really not going to search up too much about it on my own, though. I do think Andreas Gustafsson is going to get KO'd by Khaos because Khaos is actually nice like that. Gustafsson, again, I really didn't see shit on this guy, but man pushes people up against the cage, pummels them. I don't know how... There's a limit to where to that success. I think the limit is now. 34 years old, making your UFC debut, spooky hours. Spooky hours like a motherfucker. And his other wins are over just straight up questionable comp. The win... I thought Trevin Giles might have given that dude some work. Possibly, right? But anyways, Khaos Williams, KO. I'll recap that at the end. Moving on, Sergey Spivak versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. This is actually a terrifying fight to pick. I'm a little upset at how hard it is to pick, actually. Waldo Cortez Acosta is a dude who I've hated. I'm like, this dude shouldn't be in the UFC. This dude's a bum. He's a little rat fuck. But then, you look back now, man's had more than a handful of fights in the UFC, and he's 6-1, actually. And some of those wins are decent. Man has gotten better in these fights. Here's the thing. I have to think. It's not even I like to think. I actually have to fucking think that Sergey Spivak, on paper, is a better fighter and a more well-rounded fighter. I just have to think that. There's nothing else that I can see that would give me that, any other idea. And because of that, I legitimately think that Sergey will essentially use all of his skills, maybe a lot more grappling, to take care of Waldo Cortez Acosta. I don't know if he's going to finish him. I've seen some people say submission, maybe, possibly. I'm actually a little concerned because I think if there's a finish, it'll probably be in favor of Waldo. Waldo is probably going to pick up a very early, or a very late, early round 1 or past, or second half of round 3, KO TKO in favor of Waldo Cortez Acosta. I'm praying that doesn't happen. I'm going with this man, Sergey Spivak. Barring the knockout, I think Sergey should win this fight. He really should, man. Waldo Cortez Acosta has gotten better. Probably one of the better jabs in the UFC. Good boxing, good timing. We just got to see. We got to see, man. There's a limit to how much I can actually shit on Waldo Cortez Acosta anymore because, like I said, man has performed. He's gotten better. It's spooky. Moving on to a fight that's probably going to break my heart. Usman Mirzakhanov versus Brenson Ribeiro. Oh, God, man. I want to with my whole life, man. It's kind of emotional. I'm not going to do it. I'm picking Usman Mirzakhanov here, but I'm going to be rooting for Brenson Ribeiro to win, man. I really think that this fight is winnable for him, for Brenson. It's just not a favorable matchup. Here's the thing. Usman Mirzakhanov actually does, it's not that he struggles, but struggles more against taller dudes than dudes his own size, obviously. I think that'll help Brenson Ribeiro, who is big as fuck. He's actually big as fuck. 81-inch reach is insane. I'm praying that Brenson can just find this dude's chin, Osmat's chin, like super early on and just knock him the fuck out. But here's the thing. I don't know if Brenson will be able to take a shot from Osmat, if that shit lands cleanly. However, on a more mental, esoteric note, Brenson Ribeiro, not esoteric, but just more, what's the word? More in the non-tangible, like, benefits, mental realm. Brenson Ribeiro, I think, is going to be in a good headspace for this fight, coming off of his career's best win. And it was a great fucking win as well. I just don't know if he can take it like that against a dude who has shown to be pretty fucking brutal. Mirzakhanov. Moving on. Usman Mirzakhanov is the pick. I will pray for Brenson Ribeiro. I will root for him as well. Moving on, Bruno Silva versus Joshua Van. I've went back and forth on this one so many fucking times. I'm really scared of Bruno Silva. But it's also because the more I watch Joshua Van, it's like the less I fucking like him, man. I don't know if Joshua Van's getting better and better like that. Like, you know what I do know? He's taking more and more fucking damage. That's the only thing I know, actually. What do we think about Joshua Van? I think Joshua Van has actually done enough that he's not a prospect anymore. Man is just a legitimate fighter. He's very fucking young at 23. He's a small lad, too. 5'5", 65-inch reach. Great conditioning. Great chin. Again, I've said this so many times on the channel, though. It's not fucking good. You would rather hope to never find out that you have a good chin. You know what I mean by that? Meaning, the only way that someone can tell, like, that you have a good chin, it's like, oh shit. How do we find out that you can take a punch? You get punched. You get punched a lot, actually, and very fucking hard. Like, what I'm trying to say here is Joshua Van gets fucking punched and punched hard, man. He's been finished, in fact, trying to just tank shots. Bruno Silva is a dude that, if you let him get off one really powerful shot, it might be fucking over. One of the hardest, like toughest losses that I've seen in recent memory was Bruno Silva fucking versus Cody Durden. I rooted for Cody Durden in that fight. Cody Durden was having one of his career high performances, whooping Bruno Silva's ass from pillar to post. And then Bruno Silva literally hit him with an uppercut from hell, from the ninth circle of hell. Straight up sent him to the maker. Like, it was fucking bad. Mouthpiece went flying. It was real bad, man. Real bad. That was not cool at all. One of the craziest comebacks and one-shot knockouts I've seen. Bruno Silva also does have I think Bruno Silva is a much more lethal grappler than fucking Joshua Van. I really don't know why the odds are so crazy in this fight. I want to pick Bruno Silva. I really want to fucking pick Bruno Silva because, again, Joshua Van, to be honest, he's good. I'm not going to say he's not good, but it's like I said in the beginning of this little pick segment. The more and more I watch Joshua Van, I'm not having thoughts of like, damn, this kid's a monster. This kid's going to do good things. Like, of course, I thought that early on, but now it's like, damn, like, how much more can this guy take? That's the level I'm starting to reach with Joshua Van. It's like, how much more can this fucking kid take? Like, it's not good, man. It's not good. The way that Joshua Van fights sometimes, it's like he thinks that he's in a boxing match with standing 8 counts. Like, it's very strange. Very fucking strange. Like, he can just take shots. He can tank shots. He'll be able to, like, get through them. Like, I'm like, no, bro. It's not going to be like that. Like, And even though I said all that, I think I'm going to go with Joshua Van. I think I'm going to go with Joshua Van, man. Bruno Silva, despite definitely having that dog in him and being, if anything, the more lethal fighter, I do think that youth and current status of career, like current progress of career, will at least get Joshua Van through it and with a decision. That's the thing. I'm trying to think, will Bruno Silva deadass be able to pick up Joshua Van and just put him down every round and hold him there? I think that's not, like, out of the realm of possibility either. Like, oh, God, man. Oh, God. I'm going to go with Joshua Van, but that's spooky, man. It's fucking spooky. Moving on. Vicente Luque versus Kevin Holland, another terrifying fucking fight. For different reasons, kind of. It's more so because of the touchy, tentative nature of Vicente Luque's recent health concerns, brain bleeds and the like, and his return to the cage. And Kevin Holland's really quite literal, unpredictable nature as a fighter. What do I mean by that? You don't know what kind of version of Kevin Holland you're going to get. You might get a dude that literally looks like he's a champion, and he's dismantling people with extended combinations at range and chasing them when they try to flee and still hitting them. Or it's literally a dude that's getting ragdolled around and is just, like, talking shit. He's just frustrated. He's like, oh, fuck you, man. Like, it's fucking insane. You want to know something funny, though? I was talking about Brenton Ribeiro being a huge-ass dude. And that's at light heavyweight. Brenton Ribeiro being 6'3", 81-inch reach. Kevin Holland, a welterweight, is also 6'3", 81-inch reach. I do think that he'll be able to find Vicente Luque's chin. I do. Also, if the fight goes to the ground, Kevin Holland does have good jiu-jitsu. It depends on what kind of Kevin Holland we get that will determine how grappling exchanges play out. But I am going to go with Kevin Holland, actually. Possibly by finish. I will keep that in mind. Not that much to go on in this fight because really... Whoa. Like I said, just the unpredictableness of Kevin Holland combined with, I guess, the concerns that people have about the state or the health of Vicente Luque. Those make it kind of a binary choice. You're either one or the other. And I feel like people either think that Vicente Luque is going to knock out or club and sub Kevin Holland, or Kevin Holland's going to knock out Luque. Moving on. I'm going with Kevin Holland. Mario Batista versus Patchy Mix, a.k.a. Patrick Mix. Patchy Mix finally in the UFC. Y'all remember about those memes back in the day? Not even memes back in the day. Y'all remember when Heads on Motherfucking Tapology used to actively jack Patchy Mix smokes Sean O'Malley? I do. But we're past those days. Patchy Mix actually making his UFC debut now against a dude who is really, really quite problematic. I know a lot of you bums are just fucking tight that you saw Mario Batista smoke your boy Jose Aldo. I knew that was going to happen, unfortunately. I've been tight because I saw this man Mario Batista smoke my boy. Not even smoke. Get awarded a robbery decision win over my boy Damon Blackshear. Way back in the day. Not way back in the day, actually. That was... I forget. That was a UFC pay-per-view. That was when, this man Sugar became champ and he smoked Algerman. Ever since then, I was like, Mario Batista's tough, but I was preying on his downfall. Unfortunately, though, Mario Batista has actually shown massive physical and athletic improvements as well as skill improvements, as well as technical improvements. I really think Mario Batista's him. A lot of people somehow are even shitting on Mario Batista even more, saying he's one of the most boring fighters to watch. He shouldn't be in the UFC. You guys are fucking crazy. You guys are actually crazy. Mario Batista, very much public enemy. I don't know if he's public enemy number 1. John Jones is definitely public enemy number 1. But he's in the top 5. He's definitely in the top 5 most wanted list, like Mario Batista, figuratively speaking. Patchy Mix, decently well-rounded guy, maybe more of a grappler. Also low-key gigantic for bantamweight. And Mario Batista is not small for bantamweight himself. I don't know. This might sound crazy. I just think that the UFC run, fighting dudes in the UFC and the dudes that Mario Batista has fought is straight up different than what Patchy Mix has experienced. 20-1 as and being a Bellator champ, fighting in outside promotions, getting a lot of success. That shit's valid. That's not to say that that isn't real, that is worthless, or that it's worthless. But I don't know. I value the career of Mario Batista more. And I think he'll win, straight up. I think Mario Batista also definitely... No, I want to... It's funny that I naturally say that. I think definitely. But I think Mario Batista has better striking than Patchy Mix as well. With the grappling being kind of comparable. Mario Batista is fucking also possibly on something. That man might be on EPO. I don't know what that dude's on. He might be on nothing. He might be on nothing. That dude might just be on fucking... Good old, man just eats... Oh, God, I almost said some crazy shit. Never mind. Mario Batista's the pick. Moving on. Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer. Joe Bodybags Pyfer. I'm going to go with Joe Pyfer. I kind of wanted to pick Kelvin Gastelum, right? Because I think Kelvin Gastelum, similar to Jack Hermanson, could give Joe Pyfer the work, give him the veteran treatment. I don't know, though. I really don't. I think Joe Pyfer's looking to bounce back crazy, get some of the hype that he lost, is what I'm trying to say. And Joe Pyfer, people forget, man, Joe Pyfer is actually a skilled fucking grappler himself. Maybe not a better wrestler than Kelvin Gastelum, but a skilled grappler. Definitely. Very dangerous hands as well. Kelvin Gastelum getting a little bit longer in the tooth. Not actually straight up in terms of biological age, but I would say just career as a fighter. And again, Kelvin Gastelum, similar to Kevin Holland, he's one of those guys that, his form, his success in the fight is going to be heavily dependent on what version of him shows up for the fight. Again, I know that that's kind of a bit of a cop-out thing to say, as that can be attributed to literally anybody in any sport, but that's what I believe. Joe Pyfer is the pick there, but we'll save that for the end. Moving on, Women's Bantamweight Championship bout. Juliana Pena, the defending champ, versus Kayla Harrison, the challenger. I'm going with Kayla Harrison. Why? Kayla Harrison looks insane. And is also in a different stage of her career than Juliana Pena. Juliana Pena, I think, is not just enjoying it and enjoying the last dance, so to speak, because Juliana's only 1 year older at 35. Longer arms, a little shorter though. And she is the current champion. She's a respectable grappler. Kayla Harrison just has looked unnaturally strong. I'm going to leave it at that. She's looked fucking unnaturally strong. Oh shit, actually I'm having a weird feeling to change and pick Juliana Pena last minute. But I'm going to go with Kayla Harrison by decision. Not too much there. I just feel like also with the narrative, the kind of vibe, it feels like Kayla Harrison is going to win. I could see Kayla Harrison kind of just wrecking ball style her way in, just crashes into Juliana Pena, maybe gets in a few punches, somehow the fight gets to the ground and she ends up on top, and it kind of just plays out that way, round after round. Maybe there's a finish for someone, but I think that's what's going to happen in favor of Kayla Harrison. Moving on to the main event, UFC Men's Bantamweight Championship. Merab the Machine Dvalishvili versus Sugar Sean O'Malley. Merab defending his title, like I said before. In the first fight, I picked Sean O'Malley to win. I was actually very confident in Sean. But he got violated. Merab violated him. Merab dog-walked him. That on its own wouldn't be too crazy. In fact, I was still thinking about picking Sean. However, we got to remember what Merab did to Umar. Merab has actually started to establish himself as possibly well, people are just going to kill me if I say this, but Merab is nice. Merab is actually fucking him. The dude is chinny, but he has insane conditioning. He's a very dominant fucking grappler, and he is actually relentless. Again, relentless. I hold off on using that word as an attribute using that attribute, even attributing that attribute to fighters. Merab is legitimately relentless. That dude will not stop coming. He will be on you the entire fucking time. And like we saw in the first outing, I don't know if Sean O'Malley made that much of a change. He could have. He could have. He definitely could have to his game. And a dude like O'Malley, I do think really just does need to land one good shot, especially on a guy like Merab, but he had 5 rounds last time and he couldn't, you know? Like, he struggled to land the first time. Like, I don't know how much it can change, really. Fuck. For some reason, now that I'm about to say I'm going to go with Merab Dvalishvili, I can only see fucking visions of Sean one-shotting him, but I'm going to go with Merab. I do think it's going to play out very similar to the first fight. Maybe a bit more competitive, but I do think it's going to play out very similar. Merab is on him. Sean can't keep him off of him. There you go. It might sound simple. That's it. That is dead ass it, though. Let's do the little round and method of victory, and we'll recap the picks. Going back, we got MarQuel Mederos taking up the first one. I'll say by decision, actually. I'll say by decision. Maybe Mark is able to take a round off of MarQuel Mederos. Yanal Ashmouz. I wonder. Did Yanal Ashmouz KO Sam Patterson in round 1? I think he did. I'm actually going to say that Yanal Ashmouz is going to pick up a first-round knockout here. And I could see that dude Quillan. Maybe he tries to go in for a takedown. Yanal kind of shoves him off, keeps him off. He bounces up against the cage like Sam Patterson, and then bink, left on the chin, drops him. Pause. In round 1. Moving on, Juseng Yu. Oh, fuck. Versus Jeka Saragih, right? I don't know if he knocks that dude out. I really actually should have done more research on Juseng Yu. I'll say by decision. Moving on. Wang Song. I'll say by round 2, KO, TKO, DQ. I always pick round 2 for some reason for like KO, TKO, DQ. But, and I do think there are going to be a couple round 2 KO, TKO, possibly disqualifications. But we'll have to see. That is the first of them, though. Khaos Williams, I'm also going to say round 2 KO, TKO, DQ. That could be round 1, depending on how block-headed Gustafsson is if he just charges straight at Khaos. Sergey Spivak, I'll say he wins by decision. Oh, fuck. Azamat Mirzakhanov, man. I want to pick Brunson Ribeiro so bad, but I'm going to have to go with Azamat by round 2 KO, TKO. I do think maybe in the first round, Azamat might struggle with the height and reach of Brunson Ribeiro, but in round 2 is able to find one moment, closes that distance, lands a big shot, beginning of the end. You know the vibes. Moving on, I will settle with Joshua Van. I'm going to say that he wins this fight by decision. Like I said, I think if someone gets a finish there, it's probably going to be Bruno Silva, actually. But Joshua Van by decision, moving on. Kevin Holland, again, another round 2 KO, TKO, DQ. I do think that just the length of the size of Kevin Holland, he will find the chin of Vicente Luque. Man, it's going to be spooky, but then again, that could go either way. Moving on, Mario Batista. I'll say he wins by decision. Maybe he finishes Patchy Mix. That would be very impressive, obviously, because Patchy Mix has so much fucking hype. Joe Pyfer. You would think that Joe Pyfer knocks out or finishes Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum is actually quite hard to finish, so I really don't know. And I will say decision. Kayla Harrison, I do think, is also going to win by decision, and Merab Dvalishvili, I believe, will win by decision. So last 4 fights ending in decision, 5 KO, TKOs, everything else ending in decision. Interesting. That actually doesn't sound too crazy. that really doesn't sound too crazy. I went crazy last night. That's probably why this video isn't in the same vein, isn't a normal style. And also I got hooked up on so many words. Fumbled, bumbled speech, losing my train of thought. Anyways, I digress. Thank you for watching the video. If you made it this far, I actually fucking commend you. Seriously. Hold your loved ones close. Pray for peace on earth and goodwill towards all mankind. But all jokes aside, even though those weren't jokes, tomorrow, Saturday, we will be doing the Smoky Hours fight. Companion, pull up, do not be a stranger. We'll chat, we'll talk about whatever. Leave your comments down, or leave your picks, your thoughts on the card below in the comments. I love to read the comments whenever we actually get them. But we can talk it up. Hopefully I see you guys again tomorrow, Saturday. When are the fights? Says at 6 p.m., so approximately 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for watching. And as always, much love. Big kiss.